I'm going to read Sleeping Beauty, Ladybird Tales. Once upon a time, there lived a king and queen who were very happy, except for one thing. They both longed to have children, but they had none. Now it happened one day, when the queen had been bathing, that a frog crept out of the water and spoke to her. It said, "My queen, before a year has gone, you shall have a daughter." The queen was delighted, and she hurried to tell her husband the good news. Within the year, it happened as the frog had said. A baby daughter was born to the king and queen, and they were filled with joy. The child was so pretty that everyone who came to see her cried, "What a beautiful baby!" The king was so proud of his baby daughter that he ordered a wonderful christening feast to be prepared. The king invited all his friends to the feast, as well as kings, queens, princes, and princesses from other kingdoms.
When Friedrich led us down to the river to drink, Rudy and his friend came with us. Topthorn lowered his head into the water beside me and shook it vigorously as he usually did, showering me all over my face and neck and bringing me sweet relief from the heat. He drank long and deep, and afterwards we stood together for a few moments on the riverbank, watching the soldiers play in the water. The hill back up into the woods was steep, so it was no surprise that Topthorn stumbled once or twice. He had never been as sure-footed as I was, but he regained his balance each time and plodded on beside me up the hill. However, I did notice that he was moving rather wearily and sluggishly, that each step as we went up was becoming more and more of an effort for him. His breathing was suddenly short and rasping. Then, as we neared the shade of the trees, Topthorn stumbled to his knees and did not get up again. I stopped for a moment to give him time to get up, but he didn't. He lay where he was, breathing heavily, and lifted his head once to look at me. It was an appeal for help. I could see it in his eyes. Then he slumped forward on his face, rolled over, and was quite still. His tongue hung from his mouth, and his eyes looked up at me without seeing me. I bent down to nuzzle him, pushing at his neck in a frantic effort to make him move, to make him wake up. But I knew instinctively that he was already dead, that I had lost my best and dearest friend.
Today, boys and girls, I'll be reading the story Kippers' Toy Box by Mark Ingpen. Someone or something had been nibbling a hole in Kippers' toy box. "I hope my toys are safe," said Kipper. He emptied them out and counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. "That's wrong," he said. "They should only be 6. Kipper counted his toys again. This time he lined them up to make it easier. Big Owl 1, Hippopotamus 2, Sock Thing 3, Slipper 4, Rabbit 5, Mr. Snake 6. "That's better," he said. Kipper put his toys back in the toy box. Then he counted them one more time, just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 noses. "That's too many noses," said Kipper. Kipper grabbed Big Owl and threw him out of the toy box. 1, he said crossly. Out went Hippopotamus. 2. Out went Rabbit. 3. Out went Mr. Snake. 4. Out went Slipper. 5. But where was 6? Where was Sock Thing?
I'm going to read Warrior Cats Into the Wild by Erin Hunter. It was another kitten with a thick coat of shaggy grey fur, strong legs and a broad face. In a heartbeat, Rusty smelled that it was a Tom and sensed the power in the sturdy shoulders underneath the soft coat. Then the kitten crashed into Rusty at full pelt. Taken by surprise by Rusty's turnaround, it fell back into a dazed heap. The impact knocked the breath out of Rusty and he staggered. He quickly found his footing and arched his back, puffing out his orange fur, ready to spring onto the other kitten. But his attacker simply sat up and began to lick a forepaw, all signs of aggression gone.
The Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson. A mouse took a stroll through the deep dark wood. A fox saw the mouse, and the mouse looked good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have lunch in my underground house. It's terribly kind of you, fox, but no, I'm going to have lunch with a Gruffalo. A Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo? Why, didn't you know? He has terrible tusks and terrible claws and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. Where are you meeting him? Here by these rocks, and his favourite food is roasted fox. Roasted fox? I'm off, fox said. Goodbye, little mouse, and away he sped. Silly old fox, doesn't he know? There's no such thing as a Gruffalo.